Greetings, sports fans. Welcome back to Chapter 7. You're not welcome back to Chapter 7. It's your first time to Chapter 7. Managing Sports Brands. I should have said welcome back to our ongoing lecture series in sports marketing, Mark 4480, talking about sports brands. So let's start where we ought to start, what is branding? Commonsensically, you all kind of know what branding is, and you've had several marketing courses by now, so we understand what they are. But definitionally, brand name and the brand marks associated with a sports organization, like a logo. Right? On the field, obviously, two football teams are going to be wearing two different logos, two different uniforms. They differentiate themselves to the referees that way. So the name, logos, the marks, even the color scheme, that's the starting point when you're talking about brand management in sports. And if you think about, we're going to talk about brand marks in a minute, but what makes for a strong brand? These are some 1, 2, 3, or 6 characteristics that strong brands share. Suggest benefits and qualities, if they can. Easy to pronounce, recognize, and recall. Distinctive, we're going to hit on that in a minute. Extendable, right? We can use them in different areas and different product lines and different things. Translatable, so it doesn't mean something odd in another country that you don't want it to mean. Like your football team's brand name doesn't mean, tofu turkey or something in another country. And most importantly, perhaps to a sports brand, you can register it and get some legal protection so that, every store in the world, if they use a store can't use your logo on product and not give you something for it. So outside of the sports world, I put this Whole Foods Market logo up here. And it's a good example of kind of all of these things. What benefits and qualities does it suggest? Well, Whole Foods indicates, I don't know, they're healthy foods, and we've got a little green leaf. Maybe they're fresh. On the O right here. And this shows their affiliation with Amazon, right? That's the Amazon logo, but they've turned it into a greenery arrow with an eggplant, a bell pepper, indicating fresh, food, maybe GMO free or organic, or you get it. That's a good example of a logo that's incorporated a lot of these 6 characteristics of what makes a good brand. So sports brands are a little bit different, but they trigger feelings and attitudes toward a particular sport product that have been developed through consumption, either socially or fanatically or some way. Either if that wasn't the case, you wouldn't see so many people wearing, University of Georgia hoodies or University of Alabama, T-shirts, tags on their car, things like that. Here's some sports brands that contain no words because don't need them. They're that strong of a brand that they don't need them. Top left, Dallas Cowboys. That particular star, which is trademarked and protected, people see that and they know Dallas Cowboys. The one on the right, with the green and gold, Grambling University looks similar to that, but different, because they can't use that. That's the Green Bay Packers. You see that? you know what it is. In the middle, we go to hockey, the Philadelphia Flyers. Now at the bottom, we have two A's. And, you know, sports fans will recognize that the left A is the University of Alabama. That has a little, has a little mullet off the back, right? Like most people at Alabama football games. And the A starts up and then swoops down. These look similar. This is the Atlanta Braves, starts down, moves up with the mullet coming off the back. You know, if this was, you know, the head and the nose, and that kind of looks like a worm now. But you get the drift. Both of those trademarked and protected, and they have different versions of them. You know, the Braves have one with a tomahawk as the cross piece in the A. Those are brands that have been developed over the years. They carry with them emotional attachments from their fans to cities, and they're not cheap. It wasn't cheap to develop them. All these teams have been successful, one degree or another. But what do we call that when we say, you know, what a brand is worth? Well, as we remember from principles of marketing, we call that brand equity, defined as a set of assets and liabilities linked to a brand, its name and symbol, that either add to or subtract from the value, right? You can have a bad brand. Value Jet crashed in the Florida Everglades and everybody on it died. That brand was not good anymore. AirTran bought them and changed out, even though they were much smaller than Value Jet, and changed them all to AirTran. And now Southwest bought them and they're all Southwest. So, of course, the goal for any business, but especially a sports club or organization, you want to achieve a strong image in the consumer's mind where it's important to them, means something to them. They like to support the brand, right? They'll pay you money to support your brand. That's the trick. So, but what other kind of benefits can you get? Well, when things aren't going so well, you have less drastic revenue declines, right? Win or lose. Bad economy, good economy. If you dip, if your brand is strong, it's not going to dip as much as weaker brands. You can get price premiums, right? Your tickets sell out, or you can raise the price on them, unless you have a ton of empty seats every time you play, because nobody wants to come see your team or your organization, in which case you're just trying to give them away. Companies want to attach themselves to you because it's a good, strong brand, and everybody in the area loves that brand. And of course, licensing and merchandising. People want to license and merchandise your product, not just in your city, but around the world. You know, Chattanooga Lookouts, they might have interest around Chattanooga for, you know, licensing and branding, but probably not in Knoxville, which is not that far away. LA Lakers have big licensing deals with tons of manufacturers in China, and they sell billions of dollars worth of stuff. So here's the chart from the book, and they used the Chicago Cubs. We're going to call the Cubs Team A. Team B, let's say, I would say that's the Marlins or the Rays, but actually, you know, they've been successful of late, and they've got the Rays. Nobody hardly supports them. I don't know why, but they still seem to make the playoffs. But Team B was some baseball team that's not in that same category of Cubs, Yankees, Philly. Um, right now, it escapes me to come up with a good one, but we can go with the Arizona Diamondbacks, let's say. So the purpose of the chart is to show if these are the Cubs, I'm going to write Cubs up here. Win or lose, people, that looks like curb, but it's Cub. I'll put a C in there. So one of there, I'll draw the Cubs C, which is lame looking. Even though they're losing, people still go to see Chicago Cubs at Wrigley Field for a lot of different reasons. But people are lifelong Cubs fans. So even when there's a dip, you can see that if this is the Diamondbacks, they're really going to dip because their brand is not as strong as the Cubs. And when it goes up, even the Diamondbacks have a successful run, they're not going to reach the heights that the Cubs will as far as revenue, tickets sold, licensing, products that are sold. So if we're talking about a good brand, a good organization builds brand equity. In other words, not just if we say, hey, I want to buy that team. Well, here's what all their exercise equipment and office supplies and people and this, that, and the other. That's X. That's worth X amount. But that's not what you're going to have to pay for, because if you're going to buy the Dallas Cowboys, there's going to be something in there that you're going to have to pay for the brand. So in the world, the Dallas Cowboys are number one, Yankees 2. So we're football, baseball, New York Knicks, who are terrible, number 3. Basketball, and then we come down here to soccer, hardball. So nationally, in the top 10, you've got Real Madrid, Barcelona, Man U. So because in their fields they're kind of the best, or they have a very strong brand anyway. Liverpool, you see, is not quite in there. But you can see that these aren't championship caliber teams for a while. The Giants, the Patriots have been. So have the Warriors, Lakers. Now the Knicks, no. Dallas, not necessarily, and the Yankees, not lately. They do make the playoffs, but and the Lakers just won. Golden State won about 6 years in a row. Patriots won with Brady a bunch. You can see no matter whether they're winning or losing, these have strong brand. They've built strong brands, and they're worth a lot of money as that plug figure. So how do you develop equity in a brand? Right? Awareness of the brand, that everybody knows it, and the ability of a consumer to recall it. Okay, so think, for example, if I said name an energy drink brand quick, most of you probably have said Red Bull, because through their marketing and building of their brand, that's one that consumers quickly recall, unless you're loyal to Monster, and you may have said Monster. But if we just ask the average person off the street, they'd probably say Red Bull. So it's the cumulative effect of all the associations with a brand. Unique, meaning different, one of a kind, or differentiated. Strong and favorable. Brand associations, right? If it's an unfavorable brand association, like the Cleveland Browns, right? If they weren't on that list, top 10 in the world. So those are things that we think about that contribute to brand equity. So where does that come from? Logos, marks. We think of, like I just showed you, the Dallas Cowboys, or outside of sport, the Target, or the Golden Arches from McDonald's. Nickname and mascots. The owner, right? Jerry Jones with the Cowboys, Mark Cuban with the Mavericks. Ding Dong got in trouble up there with New England. Well, let's not bring him up. Players, of course. Coaches, yes, right? Nick Saban's a winner. That's what people view when they say, oh, Nick Saban, oh, he's a winner. Very successful college football coach. So Aflac wants to be associated with him. They're not associated with Alabama football team in those commercials. They're associated with Nick Saban. Rivalries, if you have them, that they're good ones that people like to watch. The Red River Shootout, Alabama Auburn, those types of things. Falcons Saints is that way. Then the package surrounding the game event or the stadium or arena which team plays. Dallas plays in Jerry World. People want to have college football games, high school football games, professional football games, soccer matches, all kinds of stuff they associate that. That's part of the Cowboys brand as well, in addition to, the owner, the players, and the coaches. So what kind of associations are formed based on consumption of the sports product? Well, it could be nostalgia, right? That's an important driver for people. I assume that is the reason that the NFL and the NBA play games in throwback jerseys. So even if you maybe have fallen out of love with the Pittsburgh Steelers, when you see them put on the throwbacks, it reminds you of the steel curtain in the 70s, kind of triggers a response in you. We know that a lot of people associate sports consumption with, social events, either a party at somebody's house or in their backyard or at tailgating, whatever. ID with a team. If you ever go to see the Hawks play in Atlanta, you'll notice that half the arena will be, if they're playing the Lakers, half the arena will be Laker fans, or Celtics, really. That's a good example. Celtics fans are all over. And, I know a lot of people in Atlanta that are Red Sox fans. Some of them are from Boston. Some of them not. They've just always been Red Sox fans. Or ID with a city. I've mentioned this before, but Georgia Tech has taken the ATL and added it to their uniforms on the back of their helmets because they want to be associated with Atlanta, and they want players to associate Georgia Tech with Atlanta because it's a destination that a lot of people want to come to, and so they want to ID Georgia Tech with Atlanta. It's part of their branding. You can also sponsors, athletes, and agencies. Sports agents negotiate the contracts for players. The players don't do it. And, I'm going to talk about that a little more in a minute, I do believe. So sponsors, athletes, and agencies, also part of the branding effort. So, there are races in NASCAR that are named. It used to be the Winston Cup. I think now it's the Sprint Cup. And they use those associations, the Dr. Pepper SEC championship game. I think Dr. Pepper National Championship in football, college football. And they use that to enhance or reinforce the brand associations with their company. The Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl is another one. In hopes that it'll rub off. Right. You enjoyed, you really love the playoff, the college football playoff, and you see Dr. Pepper all the time, you associate with it, and you go, I love the college football playoff. I love Dr. Pepper. Or they're hoping that's the case. Or all the logos that are on NASCAR vehicles. And the image of the sports entity, whatever it is, can create strong, unique, and favorable associations for the sport brand. So athletes, they make money. They make good athletes and make big money on the field. But every athlete doesn't make that kind of money. But they also make money off the field, right? Doing advertisements for being a spokesperson for Ford or, Jamba Juice or whatever. Think about Shaq. There's not anything Shaq won't do a commercial for. And, he hasn't played in a while. But he's a likable fella, and he's became famous through playing basketball and winning championships and playing with Kobe and the problems they had and all that. So having favorable associations are important for an athlete. They can do it on the court. This is on the playing court or field, or off. Right? You can Aflac believes that they'll translate Nick Saban's reputation for winning and getting things done to the Aflac brand. Right? He's not an athlete per se. He was, in his youth, but association formation is important in branding. And then we've got agents, which are important in the world of professional sports because they're the ones that negotiate the deals. And big power agents, the bigger clients they have, then they attract more of those large clients, while they're always trying to, recruit kids, once they finish their eligibility in college, and agents, are right on them. If they think he's going to be a big star, like to have him in their stable. And then then as they're advertising themselves, they say, well, we represent person A, B, C. And, when we call, people pick up the phone because they know who we represent. So most people don't see them. They're behind the scenes. But there is a brand association formation that comes with them, in their area of specialization, what they specialize in, representing players for, and they know who's available and who's not available, and this, that, and the other. But anyway, so that is in a thumbnail, not a thumbnail. Well, maybe it is a thumbnail sketch. I don't know. Chapter 7 from Sports Marketing, titled Managing Sports Brands. All right. And I will see you guys on the internet.